Hello everyone and welcome to another deck talk. This is Desron and today I'm here with Pandrum talking about the black control deck that utilizes Necromancy. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm fine, thanks. I'm sitting in front of my computer, I'm always fine.
That's good to hear. You've been on a bit of a winning streak lately, you told me?
Yeah, winning a lot, like last month where I ended up in the top 20. I'm
Nice.
back in the top again because I want to play the top 32 tournament.
Nice. So what exactly is a Necromancy control deck? Can you explain how it works in a couple of words?
Yeah, I can try to. The goal in the first line, of course, is to destroy the opponent.
Okay.
and there are only a maximum of 2 card combos and many cards that work well alone too. I think that's why the graveyard deck or the Kaideron control deck is very consistent and able to handle most situations.
Yeah, because it has combinations that are really powerful, but you don't have to play bad cards in order to make them work. All the
Right,
cards you play are good by themselves.
right.
That
Of
makes...
course, there are some situations like the Mercy situation right now in the metagame, which could be pretty tricky.
Yes. I mean, Black does have the shards to deal with Mercy, but it's not enough. It just slows them down, I find. It buys you some
Yeah,
time early game, but it doesn't actually turn off the Mercies. Eventually they will have the mana to use it.
yeah, and you need to draw it.
Yeah, that always a problem. So, other than the namesake Necromancy, what other cards are the key to the deck?
um, That's hard to say because a lot of cards are strong. But to name some combinations like Gravekeeper plus Necromancy or Rotten Hound plus Party of the Dead plus Lord of the Dead, that are just one of the most powerful combinations, I would say.
So Lord of the Dead,
Lord of the Dead, yes,
Party
this
of the Dead, which
um
is probably one of the strongest burst spells in the game.
yeah, it came out this month.
Yep. And then, so which Necromancy targets do you run? Do you only run the Gravekeepers to put the guy in the graveyard?
No, no, most of the time, of course I use it if I have the combo in my hand, but normally I use Necromancy to finish the opponent off, to kill him, because he doesn't know I have Necromancy in my hand and he has maybe not enough creatures in his death zone.
Okay.
Or I use Necromancy just to kill a creature of his own.
So a lot of time, when I played Necromancy, I found it was basically a 4 mana removal spell. That
Yeah.
most of the time it killed something. So you play Gravekeeper of Agres to put Agres in your graveyard. Do you actually play Agres himself or no?
No, I don't play him. I think it's a very bad card.
I have to agree with that. So, and I'm guessing you play Pale Blue Moons because every black deck plays them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you have any interesting combos or stuff that you don't see other decks using?
Um, I think most people, because Aaron White posted the deck once, also so another form of this deck, but he posted a graveyard deck in the forums. That's why most people play the Obelisk, which is able to summon some ghouls. But
Obelisk of
as
the Dead?
yeah, right. But I think Lord of the Dead is the new Obelisk because it's a creature, so it's you can use it more different, and many people play cards against items in the decks because of Mercy. So the
Yes.
Obelisk gets weaker and weaker.
Yeah,
So
I
I don't
noticed
play
that
him.
too, that a lot of the items that I was thinking of, maybe I could play this, they get hated out because
Yeah,
of everyone hating on Mercy.
yeah.
So how has Lord of the Dead been? Because there are only a couple of cards in the deck that actually combo with it. Is it strong enough as it is?
Yeah, it is very strong, especially if you play a lot of the Dead after a party. because you get
That
then
that's like
two.
living the dream.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Or even the late game for 5 mana, you get a creature from your grave back. It could be a purple moon or a rotten hound or a ghoul. That's awesome.
Yeah, because if you use parties and your guys die, they do go to the graveyard, so you can buy them back with Lord of the
Yeah,
Dead.
right. And the rotten hound goes to grave too if he transfers into the big dog. I don't know his name right now. Skyhound, right?
Yeah, if it transforms. And does the pale blue moon go? I believe it gets. Okay, sorry about the interruption, everyone. So we were talking about pale blue moon. Does it go to the graveyard or does it get exiled
It goes to the graveyard.
when it flips too?
Yeah.
Because it says banish this creature on the card, and I never actually
Oh,
had
wait a
reason.
sec. Pale Blue Moon, I'm not sure. But the Rotten Hound goes
The
definitely to
rotten
grave.
how definitely goes to graveyard, but
Yeah, Pale Blue Moon, I'm not sure. I think it goes out of the game.
okay, it says it should go out of the game. I
Yeah.
never had the reason to care to check during a game if it
I,
actually works
I
as it
think it
says.
goes out.
Okay, but still, buying back Rotten Hound to transform it is still pretty good.
Yeah.
And of course, you spend 5 mana to get a 2 mana creature, but you get him with haste because you can summon it basically at the end of the opponent's turn.
Yeah.
So that's always nice.
And
Do you-
another card maybe I play, many people don't play, is Lord of Darkness. Many people prefer the Argosian Destroyer.
I
for-
absolutely despise that card. Because every time I play Argosian Destroyer, or I used to, it makes me realize that I'm not playing white. And like,
yeah, and
they
the
ha-
Crusading Knight.
yeah, they have Crusading Knights, green has the Balos, and we have a vanilla 4/4 that doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't have a single useful skill on it.
Yeah, I think I used his skill like only 2 times out of 200 games. It's really useless,
Like,
but
it
it's still
has to
have,
be damaged. 4
yeah.
mana creature.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's not good. I mean, Lord of Darkness, I started playing him personally once all the green decks appeared, because green absolutely hates him.
yeah. I often end up flipping him into the graveyard before I play him and play him with Necromancy just to finish the opponent.
Well, yeah,
So-
with Necromancy, 5 damage.
Yeah,
To
that's
the
really
face
awesome.
can be-
I have him only 1 time in my deck, and 3 Argosian Destroyer, of course.
Yeah, it's a problem with black. Black really doesn't have any good 4 toughness 6 drops, basically.
No. Not really, but very strong 5 drops like Body of Dead.
Yes,
I think the mid game is really strong of Calderon.
Party of the Dead. Do you play the second heads, or do you play Dark Fallen Angels, or do you play both?
I play only 3 second heads of a Yuan. That's my only 5 mana creature.
So only 3 second heads?
hmm
Okay. And do you play any other 1-drops rather than the Hound?
No, only the Rotten Hound, and sometimes I play Hiding Fire. The problem is many people in the top know me, so they know what traps I play. So I stopped playing Hiding Fire and gave in some harsh tortures for it.
Yeah. I still like Hiding Fire, I only play 2 in my deck. Even if the people know it's coming, sometimes just them playing around it gives you enough time to set up to reach the mid game.
Yeah, but really only for noobs. Also, the better players who definitely know you play Hiding Fire, they wait before they play anything and wait for some 1 mana destroy or.
Sure, but it only costs. The way I found it's kind of like a 1-drop that I put out there, and if the opponent has to change his game around in order to beat it, it can buy me like a turn basically,
Yeah,
where he delays something by a turn in order to kill the Hiding Fire token.
but it's still a lost card, and so.
Well, they usually have to spend a card to do it anyways.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I only play 2 in my deck because it's so painful drawing them late game. and some decks can play around them really easily with shifters.
Yeah, I don't know. I played it really long, so for about the first month of the game, I played always 3 or 4 Harding Fire in my deck. But lately, the last weeks, it was often very fail to have it sometimes 2 times out on the field and never.
Never triggering.
Yeah,
That's why I only play 2. I kind of use them as backup 1-drops basically, because I'm not a big fan of Harsh Torture myself. So,
yeah, it's just for the early game because the early
you
game
need
is really weak.
because you need something to do in the first 2 turns when you're on the draw.
Yeah, right.
And I found that if I was just the 4 Hounds and the Pale Blue Moons left me a couple of times where I had to mulligan or I just didn't have a play at all. So by having the 2 Hiding Fires, I more consistently had a play. That's really all they do for me.
Mm.
But yeah,
And
everyone plays around them these days.
I do play dual casting too.
Dual casting? Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Do you play Mind's Desire?
It's really awesome.
Yeah, dual casting is...
It kills many things, and
It really lets you
yeah, it's
catch back.
basically 1 card for 2 cards of the.
Yeah.
Dual casting is pretty good because it's basically often 1 card for 2 cards, or it just damages 2 creatures. And if you have a Doom creature out or a Desire for Wish, it kills even bigger creatures. So it's really awesome dual
Yeah.
casting.
Also, it lets you basically stabilize against aggressive decks because they'll play like a couple of 1 toughness guys and then you kill them and now you have time to deal with all the rest of their guys.
Mhm.
So you mentioned Mind's Desire. Do you play that?
Desire for Wish?
Desire for Wish, sorry.
Yeah, of course I played 3 times in my deck. It's very strong Chiron card. I mean, it costs a lot of life, but it saves your ass.
It does, but I only play 2 because I found that I never wanna see the 3rd one, ever. Like, there's some games where I might cast 2, usually I cast 1 and then I don't have the life for the second one.
Yeah, feel the tomb sometimes, but sometimes I feel I want 1 on my hand and I don't have it, so I play 3.
That makes sense. I guess you mana zone them a lot?
Again?
Do you mana zone them a lot?
What is mana zone?
Like put them in the mana zone, so
Oh,
that
yeah, of course, sometimes. I actually put many cards in my mana zone.
yeah. But I found that probably Desire for Wish and the Contract with the Devil were the 2 cards I mana zoned the most in
Yeah,
my deck.
I play only 2 contracts.
I only play 2
Yeah,
as
me too.
well, and half the time they're still stuck in your hand because you don't have the time to sacrifice your guys, and you don't have a lot of bad drops. I mean, Doppelganger is the only like real combo.
Yeah, I don't have doppelgangers in my deck.
Okay, so for you it's even worse, but like you never wanna be sacrificing Pale Blue Moon to it, and the Hound, it's reasonable even if you don't sacrifice it.
Yeah, I often end up sacrificing a herded gravekeeper or a ghoul.
Or a Ghoul. Yeah, I'm guessing you play 4 Party of the Dead?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I only play 2, so I have less sacrifice targets.
You should definitely play 4. It's epic. I would play 6 if I could.
Yeah. I prefer to run Darkness Angels, or Fallen Angels I mean, over the extra parties because sometimes you just need to be able to play them on defense. And that's my biggest problem is the party, you can't play it on defense.
Yeah, but I think the game is lost anyways. If you need to play a 5 mana creature in defense, you really have to do something in the early game, this mid game. Because late game, for example, Saika is way too strong. So you can't compare with someone in late game like Saika or Sirion.
I don't know. I might try. Because I used to play 4 Parties of the Dead, and then all the green swarm decks started appearing, and I really found I wanted a Fallen Angel on defense against Green Swarm, or even on the offense. It just eats a free creature every turn, basically, since all the guys are 1 power or less. So that's when I started playing 4 of them, and I've been really happy with them, but I'll definitely look into maybe now that green is not as popular, changing it back to the parities. So you splash dual casting, do you splash anything else?
Yeah, Gemstone of Suppress.
Sorry, what do you splash?
Gemstone
Oh,
of Suppress.
Gemstone of Suppress. So that's to deal with the Mercies of Dawn.
Yeah. I hate Mercy. I hate Mercy so much.
Yeah. So so you run Gemstones of Suppress, and I'm guessing you also run the black one, Gemstone
Of Corruption, yes.
Yes.
And I used to play Birds of Good Luck, but I stopped playing them some weeks ago because it's sometimes not as good as I thought.
1 toughness is really bad in an early drop, I found.
No.
But yeah, also it costs you 1 life, and I don't know how for you, but I found like every life point matters because
Yeah.
you basically bleed life until you stabilize.
Yeah, that's why I stopped playing Darkest Shadow also.
Yeah, I stopped playing Darkest Shadow too. Do you play the white one?
Blow of Judgment?
Yes.
No.
No.
I think it's OP, but only if you don't lose 2 life.
That makes sense.
Because it's a death draw in late game and you have no hand cards, it's really loose.
Yeah. I also found that the the high toughness creatures I wanted to kill were 6 drops, which neither of them hit. Like, I never had that many problems dealing with 5-drop creatures. Okay.
Yeah, there is no destroy card for level 6 creatures.
Okay. And which hero do you use for your deck?
Chelsea. On level 4. I think level 4 Chelsea is better than level 5.
So level 4... What advantage does the level 4 one have over a level 5 one? So the level 4 Chelsea, the third skill is weaker, but it costs less mana. Is it really that big of a difference that you want the less damage and worse abilities on the hero for just to have half the cost off?
Yes, definitely, because you use Chelsea most of the time for the first ability, the first one, where you can decrease the attack power and the HP.
Okay.
So you don't need the others anyways, but sometimes I use the +2 AP to kill a creature with 2 HP.
Okay.
So I definitely think it's better. Because I would never ever use the 6 mana 3 AP spell, so level 4 is definitely better.
That makes sense, because if you late game, if you spend 3 mana to kill a creature, you can still play other stuff. If you spend 6 mana, you're pretty much wasting your whole turn on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we talked about the deck a bit, let's cover the different matchups. What's the worst matchup for this deck?
Mercy of Dawn if you don't draw the right shards at the right moment.
So, I have a feeling Mercy of Dawn is a bad matchup for a lot of decks.
Yeah, it's the best deck in the game right now. It's just overpowered.
It is definitely the best option if you wanna be winning consistently.
Yeah.
So, your deck plays, I'm guessing, 4 of each of the gemstones?
Oh no, I play only 3 red gemstones
Okay,
and 4 black one.
because they one life cost adds up if you draw too many of them.
Are you here or gone again?
Sorry? So do you feel the 7 gemstones are enough to deal with the Mercy decks?
Often I really think so. But I only play 3 because in many situations where I don't play against Mercy, it's just a lot of damage I do myself. I already had 2 or 3 game stones of suppress on my starting hand, and that sucks.
Yeah, I can see that. I hate when I get like 2 or 3 of the black ones in your starting hand because it delays the cards that you see early game, and losing life on top of that would be really painful.
Yeah.
So, what's your best matchup?
I'd say I love to play against Sirion because I think it's the weakest deck right now.
You mean mid-range Syrian?
I mean every Sirion. I mean token spam Sirion. I mean elf Sirion. I mean control Sirion. They are all
Yeah,
not that good.
I found that black is really good against them. I mean, the Syrian deck, it's really good against the Mercy of Dawn decks because Mercy of Dawn decks don't have that much removal, and all the Syrian creatures basically make more creatures when they die. But black can just keep killing them without them ever getting the second creature.
Yeah.
And if the creatures don't spawn other creatures, they end up being so much weaker than your guys eventually.
Yeah, and Desire of Wish, of course, the wonder card against Sirion.
It is. So how does your deck fare against the aggressive decks like Red Rush?
Also, Red Rush can be a big problem because the graveyard deck is sometimes very slow at the beginning if you don't draw the right card, so you must be really careful. You should play the Gravekeeper as soon as possible or any other 3 mana card just to survive the start. And if you are able to come to mid game and play 1 Party of Death or something, it should normally stabilize, and then red is no problem too.
Yeah, that is my experience with it also. I found that Desire of Wish against some red decks, it just was too painful to cast it. That was my
Yeah.
only problem. If they have like 4 or 5 guys out, you can't afford to take the 5 damage to cast Desire for Wish. But dual casting, on the other hand, is an all-star since they spend 3 mana casting a 3-1 or something, and you spend 3 mana killing 2 of those guys. It's such a massive tempo swing and card advantage.
Yeah.
How about the more controlling versions of red?
I don't think it's very strong. I mean, the combination with the Steelbreaker Blade and Sacrifice of the King is very strong to damage every creature of yours. But somehow I don't feel the deck is strong enough to beat the Graveyard deck. I think Graveyard deck is a very high tier deck, and Red Control isn't.
So, red control has a lot of, like, just bigger creatures than black, especially once you start hitting the 6 mana cost spot. Does that give you a problem if the game goes long?
No, actually not. Most creatures in red are not that powerful, and don't know.
So you're able to basically out-survive them, and
Yeah.
you're already packing a lot of Mercy Hate, which splashes with and deals with older items pretty nicely, I'm guessing too.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I don't match them so often. So I think in the top 50 is probably only 1 red control because it's really not that strong. They all play Mercy, or they play Graveyard, or they play Elf deck, or they play some kind of a blue control, or they play Mercy, like 80% of the people.
Yeah. When I was trying to find people to do the deck talks with, I was contacting different top players randomly, and most of the time it's like, what deck do you play? Well, White Mercy, okay. And what deck do you play? White Mercy, and so on and so forth. So definitely the numbers are in Mercy's favor right now. But speaking of blue control, how do you find that matchup?
If I win rock paper stone, I definitely win the game. That's my feeling against blue. And if I don't win rock paper scissors, I feel it could be tough, but normally I win too.
Okay. Because before the last patch, blue decks were really not a problem for black control. But since the last patch, they've got a couple of good high-end drops.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of them are splashing military procurement, which gives them some reach late game in the form of the Steelbreaker Blade or Scale Armor.
Yeah.
And their matchup definitely improved. Now you can't just sit and wait for them to run out of cards to play, basically.
Yeah, for example, the Chimera number 43 is very, very strong. The 6 mana creature.
Oh, the new
With
6 mana
reality
creature.
pushing Magic Word +1 stealth 2. It's really good. I would play it 4 times.
Also, I'm guessing black decks, as yours especially, since you don't play that many high drops. I mean, most of your 5 drops are what they call Party of the Dead, and your 6 drops, a lot of them you end up just necromancing into play for 1 turn. It makes you immune to their double agent, which is where a lot of the reach comes from, I'm guessing, against the under decks. So that must be nice, because double agenting 2 or 3 drop is really not where blue decks want to be.
No, that's why I prefer definitely not to play second head against the blue deck. I would rather play 2 lower drops or a level 6 drop, just because I fear double agents.
Yes. As someone who plays a few more 5 drops than you do, I've definitely had games where they stole it just by playing a double agent.
Yeah.
So, I believe that covers most of the decks. I guess white aggro-ish self deck, I'm not sure how popular it is, but I've seen it popping up every so often.
There's one Korean right now on rank 4 who plays a very, very good and strong Seike deck, just with low creatures and stuff. It's really strong, but I haven't seen a lot of them. Most Seike players play Mercy, but you can't really blame them because it's
so
very cheap.
Yes.
It's very cheap, so everyone can make it, and it's really strong.
Okay. Also, what do you think of the new the second black card that we got this pack for the Necromancy deck? I noticed that you didn't say you were playing it, so Mikhail's, what was it, second sister, I believe?
Yeah, I think it's bad.
Fourth sister, sorry. So you don't like it?
Michaela's fourth sister, this card is just bad. Even worse than Necromancy deck, because if you play it normal, you get for a level 6 creature, which is only 4/3.
Yes.
And if you are able to kill anything, it's most of the time not a level 4 creature, it's level 2, 1, or 3. So you trade your card for a level 1 or 2 card, and then it gets out of the game, so you can't get it back with Necromancy.
Okay, that makes sense. Personally, when I look at this card, I just have nightmares of green decks blocking with their 0/1 tokens
Yeah.
and just destroying your 6-drop for free.
Or even if they attack them, it gets deleted out of the game. So if he attacks your fourth sister with a 1/1, uh,
Or
any
a
green
zero
token,
one
yeah, or Seed of Sienna, for
Seed of
example,
Sienna, yeah.
you get the Seed of Sienna and your fourth sister goes out of the game. It sucks.
You just play the 6-mana Seed of Sienna, which is
Yeah.
not where you wanna be. Yeah, that was my opinion of it too, but I've heard some people talking that if there is any deck that can make use of it, it would be the Necromancy deck.
Definitely not. It's
Definitely not.
this Necromancy deck. This card doesn't fit in the deck. It's not good.
How about the matchup against the other black deck, which is the Summon Evil deck?
Yeah, Summon Evil is also a very high tier deck. It could be really tough but the problem of a Summon Evil deck is it's not as consistent as a graveyard deck. So I'm pretty sure if I would play 20 games against the best Summon Evil player, I would win
More than they
70%
would?
of the game. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
That that makes sense because they basically have to not play any like 1, 2, or 3 drops, and they have to rely on traps and magic spells to put those in to play, and there are not that many options available.
Yeah.
How about the newish Summon Evil slash Ghost hybrid that I've seen a couple of times now?
Yeah, me too. I played today against one. Don't know. I won.
So that's encouraging, but how do you feel the matchup plays out? Do you feel
Yeah.
that they have, if they're on the play, can you win?
Yes, I can. Definitely. I think there's only one. I mean, the normal black one, the normal black ghost deck is strong, but it also depends on a very good draw. There's only one ghost deck, I think, which is very, very strong, and that's the Seike ghost deck. Don't know if you have played against it already.
No, I've never actually heard of that.
Yeah,
So,
that's a very strong ghost deck. The Seike ghost deck. That's awesome.
okay. I'm gonna have to look into that eventually. So, we've been talking about how good the black control with Necromancy is. My question is, if someone is playing against you, how do they beat you? What do they need to do to win games against you?
They need to hope that I have a bad draw,
Okay,
and um, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a card game. You can't win every game.
that makes sense. But are there any cards or strategies that you feel, other than Mercy of Dawn, that you feel weak against?
Mm, I feel weak against if I end up in a very late game and there is coming one big creature after the next one out of the opponent. You know
So,
what I mean? So I
green,
often,
fat, basically?
yeah, right. I often feel to be in a spot where it also depends on creature spam. I don't like this mechanic of Carte, but
Yeah. When you're
it's
both top decking, some
yeah,
decks
right.
have better top decks than you can.
Yeah, right. That sucks. I really hope that in the next episodes will come more mechanics to the game. So it's way too creature spam heavy, I guess.
That makes sense, I guess, but well, we have an episode actually coming in a couple of weeks, so we'll get to see that. But
Yeah,
for
next
now,
week.
is it next week? I think so,
Yeah,
yeah. But for
next
now, I
week.
guess we have what we have. Well, last question. How expensive is the deck to build?
Oh, it's not too expensive. As well as for many other decks, you need only 10 to 15 rares getting things to run.
Okay. So you
Um,
need the Necromancy, You need the second heads. Can you
Um,
substitute the fallen angels for the second heads
yeah, of
feasibly?
course, but second head is
Is
definitely
definitely
better.
better. So you need the necromancy, you need the second heads, and
Yeah.
after that, I mean, you have dual casting, pale blue moon, they're in commons. So what other rares do you run?
I play Lord of Dead.
Oh yeah, Lord of the Dead, Lord of
Argo,
Darkness.
Argosian Destroyer, Lord of Darkness, right? Contract with Devil, Desire for Wish,
Okay. So
and
there
Necromancy.
are a
That's it.
couple, but the nice thing about, for example, Lord of Darkness and Necromancy is you can get them in the starter decks.
Yeah,
So that
right.
should help a lot.
And Contract with Devil too.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I think
And
it's really cheap as every deck. If you don't try too much, you really don't have to spend much money to get a good deck, to get a top level deck.
that makes sense. And would you recommend this deck to other players?
Yeah, of course, it's a lot of fun to play, not as lame as Mercy of No Skill,
Right.
and it's really fun and good, and winning is always fun, right?
Yes, it is. I play a slightly different version of the black control deck, and my draw to it over the mercy deck is that I feel like I get a lot more relevant decisions to make, and my decisions matter a lot more. So if I play well, I'll win. If I play bad, I'll lose. It's not like in the mercy deck. I often felt like what I chose to do ultimately didn't matter too much as long as I didn't make ridiculously bad misplays.
Yeah,
So that's my personal draw to this deck.
yeah. For if you play Calderon, you need to know which card the opponent plays, just to you need to think one step ahead, one turn ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. And sorry everyone for the couple interruptions. Hopefully they didn't throw things off too much. Thank you for coming on this deck talk today.
Yo, of course. Thank you for interviewing me.
And have a good day.
Okay,
I'll
you
see
too.
I'll see everyone next time if I can find any non-mercy players out there. And if you are a non-mercy player out there, please contact me so we can set up a deck talk. Thank you and goodbye.